What's up, everybody? This is Travis for Dev Tips. I am excited to share with you this subject that I'm sharing. Blah. I'm excited to share with you this subject today. It's called CSS Positioning. Now, this is an often requested subject on the comments of my channel, and I've tried. The truth is, I've tried to record a few times about this subject, but every time I do, it just gets like really, really bad, actually. And I think the reason for that is that it's a nuanced subject. So not that it's like complicated or difficult, but it's nuanced. So I have to talk a long time about all the nuances, and it leads to long videos. And I don't want to make long videos because I think that I might bore you guys, or just you might check out and miss the cool stuff. So the videos, I've been trying to talk quickly to get all the content inside of a shorter video for you guys, but it's turned out to just be a muddy, confusing video. So without further ado, let me direct your eyeballs to my screen here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we have CSS positioning, and there are not only 4 positions, but there are 4 main positions that you're going to use 90% of the time, and they are static, relative, absolute positioning, and fixed. Now today we're going to chop this in half. We're going to have 2 videos. We're going to cover this in 2 steps. So today we're going to talk about static and relative positioning, and then after that we'll come back and we'll talk next week or whenever in the next video about absolute and fixed positioning. Cool. With that said, let's take a look at static positioning. Static positioning is a type of positioning that you will run into a lot, even though you may not know it. So let me show you what I mean by that. Here I have a regular HTML document, and I have just the only important things here are a div called granddad, a child of that called dad, and then this is kind of be us. I'll just put a class, me, right? So I'm the span here. This is my dad. It's my parent container, and this is my granddad because it's my dad's dad. So I labeled them with those classes so that you could understand the relationships of what we're talking about. So anyway, I want to show you the first CSS position that you're going to run into like 99% of the time. And the way I want to show it to you, let's look at this. I'm just going to inspect element here, and I'm looking at dad. If I go over to the computed styles, it'll show me all of the styles that lead my element to look like it does, whether they're defaulted or specified by me. So if I come in here and I want to see all the defaults, because I haven't styled this at all. So I want to defaults. I want to run down to position. I can notice that it's static. The reason I say that you're going to run into static the most is because it is the default state of all HTML elements. Position static. Now, if you have been doing any coding so far, or if you've been hanging out with us, remember the HTML5 series that we did, or that I did, and I talked about I talked about the default positions, and I talked about it in terms of, actually I talked exactly about this, and I wrote it on my face, I think. But I talked about it in terms of display. So if an element is either display block or inline, it's still position static. But you can expect the flow, if it's called a position static, you can expect it to flow just like it would that I explained earlier in that other video. Even though that video was not specifically about positioning, it was about display types, but you can rely on those display types if the position is on its default, which is static. I think I've talked about this enough. Now there are also another 4 properties that we need to be aware of that hold hands kind of with the position property. And so the other ones are called the directional properties. They are the top, left, right, and the bottom. Okay? So if you declare a CSS property, like let's say you declare something as relative, you can then use these other properties of top, left, right, and bottom to move things around. And I'll show you all about that in just a few seconds. But before that, I want to show you the default state of the position property and the directional properties. So the default state, as we've just looked at, for the position is static, and for the directional properties, they're all going to be the same. They're all going to be auto. So if it's something is top auto, that means that it's kind of undeclared and it's going to act in its natural state. Let me show you I'm just going to run over here to top and I'll show you it is auto. So you can check the default state of anything by using this inspector. It's really handy. And that is the normal, that's the defaults, right? So position static, all the directional statements, all the directional properties are auto. There we go. If you declare a directional property on a element that's a static position, like let me show you. Okay, so we're on dad and we know that it's a position is static, and I say top 400 pixels, nothing happens. Nothing happens at all. But as soon as I declare that position relative, so where'd it go? It went 400 pixels up. That's where it went. Come back. Or down, actually, it was pushed down. Okay, let's talk about relative now. So relative is another positioning statement that you'll use quite often. And you're going to use it in a way that you may not expect right now, and I'll explain myself. Okay, so we have to really be aware of where things currently are and how they flow together. So here I am the span, that's me, got a class of me, and I'm going to save that out. And I want to take me and make my position relative, and I'm saved. And here we are. Wait, what is it? Where's me? I'm Venice Stulis. This is me. Let's take a look. My position is relative, okay? Is there any displays, anything happening to it, any visible change? Well, no, not at all. But as soon as I start, let me put a top here of 50 and the left of 200. As soon as I start declaring things on it, background, pink, okay. I made the pink background so we can see that guy. As soon as I start declaring the directional properties on a relatively positioned element, it starts moving around. So left, you can see how I'm just moving it around and tabbing and whatever all over this. And you can see that it's moved from its place where it should have been, which is right here, to follow the positioning that I told it to, top left, or top 50, left 40. Now what's interesting to note about this is that the natural flow of the other HTML elements, in this case this paragraph, are still respecting the position or respecting the area that this element would take up if it was not moved, right? There's a big gap is what I'm saying here. Yeah, so that's it. I guess that's it for the video today. We want to make sure that we understand that the relatively positioned element will create a gap. The flow of the DOM will still respect it as if it had not moved. And if I put, here, let me change the top here, it'll just go right on top of things. And if an element has a position statement on it, for example, relative, it will sit on top of everything else in the stack, in the Z stack, the things that are coming towards you, like that Z axis. It will just sit on top of things, even though that it's, anyway. Hey, thanks guys for looking at this video, and it was only 8 minutes, but hopefully I'll edit it down. And bye.